lenses. These are all lenses except this is an adapter. I just wanted to talk about some of the lenses that we use and why we use these specific lenses. So a bit of context, for a long time we shot on Canon. So the majority of our lenses were Canon, like this 100mm macro. But back in 2020, we started moving towards shooting on all Sony. So we bought the FX9, followed by the FX3 that we're filming on now, and then the FX30. So with that, if we're going to move into that Sony ecosystem, we should also move over to their lenses as well. So that's why we moved over to the Sony G Masters, which are these. So this is the 70-200. This is the 16-35. So that's our kind of gimbal lens. And then the one that we're using to film on the FX3 at the moment is the 24-70. One great thing about the G Master lenses is how well they work with the Sony Cine Line cameras. So the FX9, the FX3, FX6 that we don't have, but like we rent it a lot. The autofocus, incredible. The image stabilization, incredible. They're a very clean looking lens, so they don't have the kind of artifacts in them and the sort of lovely, soft, vintage lens kind of look. They are very good for like corporate, commercial. A lot of that kind of warmth and softness is, you can kind of need to apply that to the lens. So either using filters or kind of adding it in post. So if I just talk a little bit about each one of these lenses and kind of what we use them for. The 16-35, like I say, this is mainly our gimbal lens. So it's really wide. We currently use it on the FX30, which to be fair is a crop sensor. So you don't get the full 16-35, but for gimbal kind of big sweeping movements or like establishing shots, it's really, really good because it's so wide. It takes in so much of the environment. The 70-200, which is like the tightest lens that we've got, it's a really, really sharp lens. I think it's probably, out of all our lenses, it's my favorite lens, I would say. It's not massively versatile because obviously the widest it'll go is 70mm and you have to be pretty far away from that subject. But really, for anything where you really want to crush the background, if you've got the room, if you can shoot, on the 70-200, like I just think it gives you a really lovely cinematic look. Obviously it doesn't lend itself too well to being like on a shoulder rig or certainly not on a gimbal, so you kind of need to be on sticks, or if you're doing handheld stuff you kind of need to be pretty stable, but the image stabilization like really helps with that. The next lens is the lenses on the camera. Hold on a second. Okay, right. And next up is the lens that was on the camera just now. It's the workhorse, really. It's the 24-70. So this is our kind of most versatile lens. We replaced the 24-7 L series lens that we had for our Canons, which, to be fair, was a fantastic lens. It was really sharp all the way through, but it was a tank. It weighed a ton. So the main difference I noticed between when we moved to the G Masters was how light this was, and it's still got image stabilization. It's still really, really good autofocus, and it's just a really sharp lens. And like I say, it's our most used lens. We use it across every camera body, really. The only lens that we still have from our Canon days is the 100mm macro. Now, probably could have got rid of it with the rest of our Canon lenses, but I didn't really have anything to replace it with from the G Master range. And to be honest, I didn't need to. I use it so infrequently, but it really is a great lens. Like, you can get incredibly, as it goes without saying, it's a macro lens. You can get incredibly close to a subject and it's really, really sharp. It's a really cool lens. I'm reluctant to get rid of it. I've shot loads of stuff that I really like on it and it kind of does the job. We use it 2 or 3 times a year, kind of sits on the shelf for a lot of the time, and yeah, it's there when we need it. Finally, the coolest lens that we own is the Laowa Probe Lens. It's a bit of a funky looking lens. It's very long. It is a PL mount. So this is what this adapter is for. So this is a PL to E mount for the Sonys. It's a macro lens. So obviously it's for filming things or taking photographs of things very close up. But it's also got a very wide field of view because it's a 24mm lens. It is a 14 f-stop. So you need a ton of light to get anything exposed, really. So it's you usually find a lot of filmmakers coupling this nowadays with like a high-speed camera, which obviously, again, by its nature, high speed means the shutter speed is very high, means that you need tons of light. That's why you see when people are filming macro stuff with high speed, you need just an unbelievable amount of light on the scene to get anything exposed looking nice. It's quite a tricky lens to get used to because it doesn't really behave like a normal lens. So we use it for a lot of our food and drink photography. It's a really unique look. For all our other lenses, if we need a specific look, then we'll rent them in. Or if we need a specific focal length, if we would need a really long lens or a really wide lens, we'll rent them in. Because it's just not worth us having them in-house. We don't use them regularly enough to warrant spending $2, $3, $4 on them when we can just, hire them for the day for a couple of £100. If they do the job, I'm happy with them. So I don't get obsessed with kit like I used to. But I mean, if somebody was to ask me like how much each one of these lenses cost, I don't know. But I think the probe lens is between $1.5 grand, £2,000. 24 to 70 is probably about £2,000 new. 70 to 200, probably about £2,000 new, maybe a bit less. God knows what the 100mm macro is now. £500, maybe less than that. Obviously, we shoot on Sony, so you do need the EF to E mount adapter to get it to work on Sony, which, depending on whether you've got a Metabones adapter or just like a dumb adapter, may set you back £40 or it might be £200. So they're all the lenses that we use at Coolbox. Which are your favourite lenses? Wink.
Sick, get out.
All right, cool, thanks.